and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it is a pleasure to be in your company today. So today is Wednesday. We know what that means. It's a Wellness Wednesday. And this show I'm going to call by popular demand because I've had several people reach out to me quietly or privately, I should say, asking me to focus on this topic. And I had no problem saying yes, because this topic is one which so many people are being impacted by, not just here in the Bahamas, but really around the world. And that is specifically speaking about the problem of Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease. And I promise you that you are going to hear a lot of things today that are going to surprise you. You're going to hear some things today that are going to go against conventional information that you would have received about this condition. But as I always want to encourage you all when you're listening to the paradigm shift, is that you ought to come into this show, into the global paradigm shift with an open mind, because clearly, if we had all the answers in terms of what we have been doing, then Alzheimer's would not be the problem at such a huge rate, a tremendous rate that it is around the world. So I say that to say that, maybe it's time for us to consider some other options. Maybe it's time for us to consider that maybe, just maybe, when it comes to non-communicable diseases, chronic diseases like Alzheimer's disease, maybe, just maybe, we have taken the wrong dog to the hunt. And you will understand what I mean by that as we go throughout the show. I prepared a lot of clips for today because it's a lot of information that I want you to be able to understand and grasp. And we're not just going to look at the problem itself, but we are also going to look at possible solutions to the problem. Okay, so I'm not just going to give you a bunch of information about the problem, then not offer you anything as it relates to what you can do if you are experiencing early onset Alzheimer's, or if you are dealing with a loved one who is battling Alzheimer's disease. Now, before we dive in, there's some basic things that you need to understand. And the first thing is this, that Alzheimer's disease is just one type of dementia. Alzheimer's disease is not the only form of dementia that there is, because oftentimes people think that, if you have cognitive problems or that person has Alzheimer's, it may not be, because there are actually 4 different types of dementia. The most common of which is vascular dementia. So a person who has vascular dementia may be displaying some of the symptoms that would make you think that they have Alzheimer's disease, but they don't have Alzheimer's disease. What they actually have is a blockage of arteries that are stopping oxygen and brain food, blood, etc., to get to the brain. So the brain isn't functioning because of that blockage. It's the same problem that, say, blockage of your arteries that would cause a heart attack. Same problem. It's just that instead of having a heart attack, you're having a brain attack. Where you're not getting sufficient oxygen and blood to the brain, and so the brain doesn't function. That is called vascular dementia. And that is the most common form of dementia. Other forms of dementia are something called Korsakoff syndrome, which is a deficiency of a single vitamin. And this was discovered in the late 1700s by a Japanese naval surgeon. And then you have Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, which is the same deficiency, but it also comes with multiple sclerosis. So you get the cognitive impairment plus multiple sclerosis, and that is what is known as Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. And then there is Alzheimer's disease. It is possible to have all 4 dementias at once. And so what happens from the holistic approach is that when we come across with somebody who is having, these challenges, we are not sure which one initially it is. So our approach is to just treat them for all 4 of them, because some people can have all 4 at once. Some people may just have the vascular dementia. Some people may have Alzheimer's. So you just deal with all of them at once. But today on this show, we are specifically focusing on Alzheimer's disease. Okay. We're not focusing on the other 3. So what is Alzheimer's disease and where did this come from? I want to make clear that Alzheimer's is not a normal part of aging, because that's what, we've been told. Yeah, once you get old, you're just going to automatically start to lose it. No, that's not the case. And you're also going to learn that this is not genetic. Again, you're going to hear some things in this show that are going to go against conventional wisdom or conventional information that you would have received. So let's talk about the onset of Alzheimer's. Where did this all begin? Let's go to clip number 1.
In the year 1901, a woman called Augusta was taken to a medical asylum in Frankfurt. Augusta was delusional and couldn't remember even the most basic details of her life. Her doctor was called Alois. Alois didn't know how to help Augusta, but he watched over her until sadly she passed away in 1906. After she died, Alois performed an autopsy and found strange plaques and tangles in Augusta's brain, the likes of which he'd never seen before. Now here's the even more striking thing. If Augusta had instead been alive today, we could offer her no more help than Alois was able to 114 years ago. Alois was Dr. Alois Alzheimer. And Augusta Dieter was the first patient to be diagnosed with what we now call Alzheimer's disease. Since 1901, medicine has advanced greatly. We've discovered antibiotics and vaccines to protect us from infections, many treatments for cancer, antiretrovirals for HIV, statins for heart disease, and much more. But we've made essentially no progress at all in treating Alzheimer's disease. I'm part of a team of scientists who's been working to find a cure for Alzheimer's for over a decade. So I think about this all the time. Alzheimer's now affects 40 million people worldwide. But by 2050, it will affect 150 million people, which, by the way, will include many of you. If you're hoping to live to be 85 or older, your chances of getting Alzheimer's will be almost 1 in 2. In other words, odds are you'll spend your golden years either suffering from Alzheimer's or helping to look after a friend or loved one with Alzheimer's. Already in the United States alone, Alzheimer's care costs $200 billion every year. 1 out of every 5 Medicare dollars gets spent on Alzheimer's. It is today the most expensive disease, and costs are projected to increase fivefold by 2050 as the baby boomer generation ages. It may surprise you that, put simply, Alzheimer's is one of the biggest medical and social challenges of our generation, but we've done relatively little to address it. We understand less about the science of Alzheimer's than other diseases because we've invested less time and money into researching it. The US government spends 10 times more every year on cancer research than on Alzheimer's, despite the fact that Alzheimer's costs us more and causes a similar number of deaths each year as cancer. But the lack of resources stems from a more fundamental cause, a lack of awareness. Because here's what few people know, but everyone should. Alzheimer's is a disease, and we can cure it.
Okay. So, as he so well pointed out, there's been very little progress made since the very first Alzheimer's patient was discovered in 1901. And I dare say that a part of the problem is that, he mentioned being a part of a group of scientists who are trying to figure this thing out. And in another part of the clip, which I didn't air because of time, he mentioned all of the professionals who are a part of this team. And he mentioned doctors and scientists and mathematicians and all kinds of people he mentioned who are part of this team. But there's only one problem. Nowhere on the team did I hear of the presence of a naturopathic, somebody who understands nutrition and the impact on the body. And once again, this is a part of the problem that we face with non-communicable disease in general, because of a monopoly that has existed for many years now, where people have been led to believe that there is only one segment of people who are the ultimate authority on anything to do with long-term chronic disease. And that specific group of people that I'm referencing are the MDs and the pharmaceutical companies. So we've been sold the idea that when it comes to anything to do with health and anything medical, that they are the authority. And they really do hold a monopoly. But the challenge is that whereas they do have a role to play, and I'll never stop saying this because it's so important for people to understand that when you hear me say these things, I'm not trying to knock the medical profession because they do play a very important role. And whereas they're very good at trauma care and a handful of infectious diseases and surgery when necessary, they are not so good at long-term chronic illness. Otherwise, we would not be getting sicker and sicker. It seems that we're getting more and more pharmaceutical, drugs, but we're less and less healthy. So clearly, we have perhaps taken the wrong dog to the hunt. And nothing could be further from the truth. That especially applies to the condition of Alzheimer's. So here is Dr. Peter Glidden in clip number 2 to put this all into perspective.
This is a wave of an epidemic, of biblical proportions of 14 million people by 2050. You've got to be kidding me. And while this is happening, nobody, and I mean nobody, but myself and a handful of my colleagues, points the finger of blame where the finger of blame is due. The Alzheimer's epidemic is due to the conventional medical monopolization of the marketplace. In 1912, Congress granted the American Medical Association exclusive control over who could and who couldn't call themselves a doctor. The MDs and the pharmaceutical industry were put into first place. They exerted a hostile takeover of the medical system, and they've been there ever since. This monopoly has been in place for so long that people forget that it's a monopoly. People look around and they see the only medicine practiced in their hospital, the only medicine they do research at their university, the only medicine by and large their medical insurance pays for is MD-directed medicine. So therefore, the socialized thought process is, well, the MDs must be better at what they do than everybody else. And that's not the case. The medical doctors are in first place because they legislated themselves there. And while they have been in exclusive control over the development and the delivery of medicine for the last 108 years, calling my profession and everybody who is not them a quack, Alzheimer's has skyrocketed. It happened on their watch. It's their fault. But nobody is calling them out because everybody thinks, incorrectly, that the medical doctors own the secret decoder ring to all things medical. And if they can't figure it out, well, nobody can. And everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack with substandard, pseudoscientific treatments. Of course, this is just, medical race baiting as far as I'm concerned. And you need to have a better perspective on this, right? You need a better perspective on this condition because chances are pretty high that someone in your family is going to get Alzheimer's disease. This is a reflection of the complete, utter, and total failure of conventional medicine. Complete, utter, and total failure of conventional medicine. It's not going to take more MD-directed research. It's not going to take more research into genetics. If you're waiting for the medical doctors to come up with a solution for this, you're going to be waiting a long, long time. It happened because of their therapeutics, because of their philosophical orientation on how the human body works and the relationship between the human body and disease.
Again, disclaimer, I'm not in any way trying to discredit the work of the MDs. But we have to look at the track record as it relates to this particular condition. As the gentleman said in the TED Talk clip that we started the show with, since the very first Alzheimer's patient was discovered in 1901, now that talk was done in 2015, but I dare say in 2022, not much has changed. We are still, because I believe of what Dr. Glidden just described, in a position where people who have come down with Alzheimer's disease, it's just seen as, there's not much we can do for you. That's a death sentence. I always say that you should believe the diagnosis, but do not believe the prognosis. Because despite what you may have heard, there are some things that you can do about Alzheimer's disease. It's a disease. It's not a normal part of aging. It's not a case of bad luck. And as you're going to hear in this clip with Dr. Joel Wallach, it is not genetic.
Alzheimer's tidal wave is fear. That's because there's 80 million baby boomers coming along. Numbers look particularly grim for baby boomers because they're on egg beaters, egg white omelets, boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And the worst possible thing is they took the statin drugs to lower their cholesterol. Talk about a perfect storm for making Alzheimer's disease. Okay, in 1992, the University of California, San Diego, and the Salk Institute came out with this study, and they said if you take somebody with advanced Alzheimer's disease, you give them a high dose of vitamin E, they'll get better. Now, this isn't some comic book stuff. This is a 10-year study from the Salk Institute and the University of California, San Diego Medical School. Vitamin E can ease memory loss in Alzheimer's victims, which means it cannot be genetic. Because there's no genetic disease that you can even help any little bit by giving a vitamin or mineral. So if you can get some clinical improvement by giving them one vitamin that ain't genetic, that's simple stuff. That's fourth grade biology. Then in 2010, front cover story, U.S. News World Report, America's Best Nursing Homes, Aging Well, obviously marketing to the baby boomers. What science reveals about aging? Is your job killing you? Your first baby boomer's heart battle? But this is why I bought it. 7 habits that lower the risk of Alzheimer's disease. What does that tell you? It ain't genetic. If you can sleep 2 more hours a night, if you can walk around the block 2 more times, if you can eat a banana every week that you weren't doing, you can read a little bit more, read a book every month. Because one of the things I mentioned was read a book every month, reduce your risk of Alzheimer's disease. It ain't genetic. So right there it says, if it ain't genetic and you get it late in life, that means we can prevent it, and that means we can get rid of it. Amen.
Amen to that. So I think it's important that we lay all of this foundation before we dive in, okay? There's some things we need to understand as we get into this discussion today and into this talk today. That number one, there has been very little, if any, progress since the very first patient was discovered in 1901. Bertha says. Bertha says, but they find a cure for COVID right away. Suck my teeth. They find a cure for COVID, Bertha. They found a vaccine that they say is not going to make you as sick, but it ain't a cure. So the first thing is, number one, very little progress since the first patient in 1901. That's the foundation. That's the pillar number one, because I'm trying to lay these pillars of this foundation so we understand what we're dealing with here. Number two, much of this could be possibly linked to the medical monopoly that we are now faced with, where they have taken a particular approach, which clearly is not a very successful approach, but because so many others have been discredited or looked down upon, the solution that they could offer is being ignored. Thirdly, this is a disease and it is not genetic. You need to understand that. This is not genetic. And you're going to learn a lot in this show about what leads to this, where you're going to see that you have a lot of control over this. You heard what Dr. Wallach said in the last clip. You heard him talking about reading a book, stimulating the brain, all these kinds of things we're going to get into. Taking particular nutrients, studies have shown can help lower the risk. All of these things we're going to talk about. So clearly, if you can do something about it, it's not just up to fate. It's not genetic. Okay? So I want you to open your minds and understand that. Understand that those 3 pillars as we go through this show today. If you know anybody who is suffering from this condition or is caring for someone who is suffering from this condition, please go ahead. If you're on Facebook, like and share the show, or get on the phone, call them up, tell them, listen, man, you'll need to tune into Global 99.5. Michelle is on talking about Alzheimer's. You're going to, get some information that you may not be getting from elsewhere. So we've already established what Alzheimer's is not. What Alzheimer's is a disease that is a brain disorder that slowly destroys memory and thinking skills and eventually the ability to carry out simple tasks. Remember now, Alzheimer's is just one of 4 different types of dementia. In most people with the disease, those with late onset type symptoms first appear in their mid-60s. Early onset Alzheimer's occurs between a person's 30s to mid-60s. Can you imagine 30s and you're experiencing Alzheimer's? So again, it's not a normal part of aging. Now, early onset Alzheimer's is rare, but it does occur. Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia among older adults. But again, it is only one of 4 types of dementia, which I would have mentioned earlier on. So we heard in that first clip about Dr. Alois Alzheimer, who came across this patient and couldn't figure out how to help her. And after she died and he performed the autopsy, he saw these weird, her brain had shrunk and, you could actually see the presence of the effects of the disease. And, as is customary, if a doctor or a scientist discovers a condition, they name the condition after that person. So the condition was named after the doctor that first treated the very first Alzheimer's patient known to us. And when he examined her brain, found many abnormal clumps, now called amyloid plaques, and tangled bundles of fiber that, he realized, okay, there's something very wrong here. This is not what a normal brain is supposed to look like. And even today, these plaques and tangles in the brain are still considered some of the main features of Alzheimer's disease. Another feature is the loss of connections between nerve cells or neurons in the brain. And neurons transmit messages between different parts of the brain and from the brain to muscles and organs in the body. Many other complex brain changes are thought to play a role in Alzheimer's as well. So the damage initially takes place in parts of the brain involved in memory, including I don't want to pronounce this incorrectly, entorhinal cortex and hippocampus. It later affects areas in the cerebral cortex, such as those responsible for language. So oftentimes people who are in end-stage Alzheimer's have lost their ability to talk and communicate verbally. That area is also responsible for reasoning and social behavior. And eventually many other areas of the brain are damaged. It is called the slow goodbye because it, generally speaking, it's a disease that can go on for years, like 10 years or more. Somebody could just be slowly degenerating to the point where you just lose that person. It's a very big problem in terms of the number of people who are suffering from it. You heard about the amount of money that is being spent on it. And it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? This disease is any form of dementia robs you of your loved one. And it is very hard to sit there and watch it happen and have what it seems to be like no control. But I want to give you some hope today because you're going to get some information today that is going to empower you to be able to help yourself or your loved one who's going through this. And so we are going to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to dive more into the brain itself, how the brain functions, and why certain things that you may be doing now are making you more susceptible to coming down with dementia or Alzheimer's. Don't you go anywhere. Stay with us. You're going to have some good information on the other side of the break.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
And welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. And today we are talking about Alzheimer's disease, one of 4 types of dementia that there is. And today you're going to get a lot of information that's going to help you to make it through this if you have been diagnosed with early Alzheimer's or if you have a loved one who's battling this. The telephone numbers to call, 326-0271, 326-0271, or 326-0272, 326-0272, and our WhatsApp number is 824-9952. Again, if you know anyone who is suffering through this, please like and share the show. Let everybody know that GPS Wellness Wednesday is on the air, and we are talking about Alzheimer's disease today, and you're going to get some good information. Now, what does Alzheimer's disease look like? Well, memory problems are typically one of the first signs of Alzheimer's disease, though initial symptoms may vary from person to person. A decline in other aspects of thinking, such as finding the right words, vision or spatial issues, and impaired reasoning or judgment may also signal the very early stages of Alzheimer's disease. Mild cognitive impairment, also known as MCI, is a condition that can be an early sign of Alzheimer's, but not everyone with MCI will develop the disease. People with Alzheimer's have trouble doing everyday things like driving a car, cooking a meal, paying bills. They may ask the same questions over and over and over again. They may get lost easily, lose things, or put them in a place that's odd, that you wouldn't expect them to put them. They may find even simple things very confusing. As the disease progresses, some people become increasingly worried or angry or even violent. And the time from diagnosis to death varies, as little as 3 to 4 years if the person is older, especially if they're older than 80 when diagnosed, and up to as long as 10 years or more if the person is younger. And Alzheimer's disease is currently ranked as the 6th leading cause of death in the United States, but recent estimates indicate that the disorder may rank as high as 3rd, just behind heart disease and cancer as the cause of death for older people. Now, traditional conventional medicine says there's no cure for Alzheimer's disease. They haven't found a cure yet. And there has been some progress, but not a whole lot when you really think about it, in terms of helping people who find themselves with Alzheimer's. Several medicines have been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to treat people with Alzheimer's, and some of them have been found to be able to slow the progression of the disease to some extent, but not stop it completely. And as I always say, the medical community are known for treating illness, managing illness, as opposed to reversing disease. So we're going to talk about some things that you can do today that will actually help you to go beyond just managing this disease. And we're also going to give you some good information to help you to understand what you need to do to not make yourself more susceptible to coming down with the disease, because you don't want to be one of the people who gets it, and you don't want to be somebody who has to care for somebody who gets it, because as a person who has to care for someone who is battling with this, trust me, that is not easy. You are going to carry a heavy load to try to care for that person. So our goal is to give you information that's going to keep you healthy and keep the other person healthy, or get you healthier. So we have to talk about the brain. And you need to understand how the brain is made up and why certain things that we're doing are actually damaging the brain, which is leading to dementia and Alzheimer's. A major part of the brain that has to be considered is something called, you heard me talk about it before, the myelin, M-Y-E-L-I-N, myelin. Myelin is the white matter of your brain. You've heard us talk about the white matter, which is mostly, that makes up most of your brain. I think it's about, weight-wise, I think the myelin is like 90% of your brain. And myelin is a lipid-rich substance that surrounds nerve cells or nerve cell axons to insulate them and increase the rate at which electrical impulses are passed along the axon. And the myelinated axon can be linked to an electrical wire, with insulating material around it. So imagine this wire in your house, and you got, if you've ever watched an electrician do any work, or if you have seen any exposed wires in your house, it has this plastic covering protecting the actual wire where the electricity goes through. But what is different with the myelin is that, unlike the plastic covering on an electrical wire, myelin does not form a single long sheath over the entire length of the axon, but rather the myelin sheets the nerve in segments. And in general, each axon is encased with multiple long myelinated sections with short gaps in between, called nodes of Ranvier. Myelin is formed in the central nervous system by glial, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, G-L-I-A-L, glial cells, and in the peripheral nervous system by another set of glial cells. And in the central nervous system, the axons carry electrical signals from one nerve cell body to another. And in the, where did it go? So that's what happens in the central nervous system. In the peripheral nervous system, axons carry signals to muscles and glands or form sensory organs such as the skin. So your myelin, in essence, is what is protecting all of the electrical system in your brain. And the electrical system is what takes information from your brain to the rest of your body. So you know what your body knows what to do. It's following instructions or electrical messaging in your brain. And the myelin is the protective covering of that. When your myelin becomes damaged, then you're going to start to experience cognitive impairment. So we need to understand that when it comes to your myelin, the myelin is a dynamic factor in this whole conversation of Alzheimer's disease. Let's go to clip number 4.
Myelin, it's becoming understand now that it's ever changing as with age. It accumulates with aging and to a certain point. And it's interesting that at that point, it kind of diminishes, and that's the time of when we start to have memory problems as well. And there is a lot of turnover and myelin regeneration. So really the only part of our brain that can regenerate, has a regenerative potential, is myelin. And the fact that their myelin is lesion is occurring with age, we need to figure out a way to find a way to augment that regeneration. And then what we've also shown in the field is showing in the myelin field is that when we learn new things, myelin may be produced, more myelin is produced. So it's actually not like we thought in the old days, that myelin is just produced, stays sticky and stays the same throughout life. It's actually expanding, changing, increasing, and therefore, it's more dynamic and responsive to learning and environment than we previously thought. So I think we're kind of on the brink of understanding white matter in neuroscience in the whole, and what this is essential to understand also what it may have for diseases like dementia.
So I want you to understand something real quick, and we're going to talk more about it more in detail later in the show. But myelin is mostly made of cholesterol. So a healthy level of cholesterol in your body is very, very important, because when you lower cholesterol too low, and we're going to talk a little later on about the effects of statin drugs on the brain, but when you lower cholesterol too low, it starts to affect your brain, because 90% of your brain is myelin. Myelin protects the electrical impulses in the brain that tells your body what to do. 75% of that 90% of your brain is cholesterol. I want you to stick a pin in that. Keep that in mind for a little later on in this conversation, because we're going to talk about one of the reasons why Dr. Wallach says that Alzheimer's is a physician-created disease. Because they would have us to do things that decrease the level of cholesterol. We're going to explain that in a minute. I want you to stay with me here. And so one of the things that you need to understand, whether it is Alzheimer's disease or any other kind of non-communicable chronic disease, the problem at its core is degeneration. The problem at its core is that your body is breaking down. Now, we in the holistic health field believe that the reason why your body breaks down is because if you're not getting adequate nutrients that the body needs to function, and then on top of that, you're being bombarded with toxins and stresses and everything else that's coming at us, genetically modified foods, then it's only a matter of time before something breaks. So when you want to consider any non-communicable disease, one of which is Alzheimer's and dementia, you need to understand that the strategies for prevention and reversal or slowing down the progression of them are all the same. This is a very important point for you to understand. It doesn't matter where the deterioration or degeneration occurs. The most important thing to recognize is that Alzheimer's is simply a degenerative health crisis that affects the brain. Okay? And when it comes to healing, it should be treated as such. Let's go to clip. That would be what, number 5 with Ben Fuchs.
In the same way that macular degeneration is a degenerative health issue of the macula, arthritis is a degenerative health issue of the joints, multiple sclerosis is a degenerative health issue of the nerves, AD is a degenerative health issue of the cognitive center in the brain. If you move a little bit in the brain and you get a degenerative condition, you may affect movement and you'll call Parkinson's disease. And the fact that it happens to be located a few centimeters in a different place doesn't make a difference. You follow me? It is simply a degenerative condition, and this is how we have to recognize it from a healing perspective. If you want to reverse any degenerative disease, it's important to recognize the degenerative process as a generic phenomena. It doesn't matter where it's occurring. It matters that it's occurring. So what do you do for Alzheimer's disease? Well, the first thing you always do when you're confronted with a chronic degenerative crisis is you work on the digestive system. There's 2 reasons for this. Number 1, if the digestive system is compromised, stuff is going to get into the blood. Food particles are going to get into the blood. Bacteria will get into the blood. Bacterial outgassings will enter into the blood. You're going to initiate an inflammatory process, and this is going to make it difficult to recover. So for one thing, you want to correct digestive health issues because you want to prevent stuff from getting into the blood. But from a second reason why you want to work on the digestive system is because if you have a digestive system breakdown, you're not going to be absorbing your nutrients. So on the one hand, you're going to be getting toxicity. On the other hand, you're not going to be getting nutrients. So it's critical to focus on digestive health for all degenerative health issues, including AD, including Alzheimer's disease. That means, number 1, a food diary, keep track of problem foods. Foods that cause digestive distress need to be eliminated. Then strengthening the digestive system using fermented foods, using the biolumin nightly essence, probiotics, using connective tissue builders like glucosamine and chondroitin, cartilage, bone soup. Anything that you could do that would build up your joints if you had arthritis is going to help build the digestive tract as well. Fucoidin, the Fucoid Z, or the Z radical contain polysaccharides that can help coat the digestive system. So building the digestive tract lining is very important because it will help eliminate toxicity from getting into the blood, which will slow down recovery and make the symptoms worse. And number 2, it'll help support nutrient absorption.
So y'all know I always talking about the health of the gut, right? And why we need to stop eating the damaging foods. And last week we did a whole show on that, the 12 bad foods. So now you're hearing that there is a direct connection between gut health and brain health. Now scientists are discovering that there's this thing called leaky brain. And leaky brain is where you start to have cognitive challenges, where you start to have focus problems and concentration problems, and you can't remember things and short-term memory issues. And now they are just discovering that there is a direct connection between leaky gut and leaky brain. Remember, I say it all the time on this show. Your body is an interconnected system. It is not a bunch of systems operating in isolation without affecting the other. And at the core of good health is a good, healthy gut system. Your gut microbiome affects your entire body. So don't think for one second because you have not been diagnosed with celiac disease, So that means that you don't have to check for your gut health. Because whether you realize it or not, it is impacting your entire body. I ask the question all the time. Is what you are eating now worth that? Is it worth it? When you can easily just switch brands, make some changes, stop eating the inflammatory foods, stop eating the foods that are damaging your gut, which is leading to systematic inflammation, which is leading to all of these problems. So we have to take better care of the gut. That is critical to this conversation about Alzheimer's disease and any other non-communicable disease. Very much of them start with gut health. I know you weren't expecting me to go there, but I'm trying to offer you guys as much as possible a comprehensive coverage of this whole idea of Alzheimer's disease, because by the end of this show, you will understand that there's some things that you can do. It's going to take some lifestyle changes. There's some foods that you're eating. If you missed last week's show, go back to Facebook. You can watch the show in its entirety last week, Wednesday. But there's some foods that some people are eating that are damaging their bodies that you have been misled to believe are healthy. And especially if you already have a loved one who has Alzheimer's disease, whether it's early or mid or end stage, you need to make sure that they are not eating problematic foods that are contributing to the problem. So again, no wheat, no barley, no rye, no oats, no spelt, no oil in a bottle because it causes inflammation. Definitely no fried foods. As long as it's fried in oil, no. Fry it in an air fryer, oven fry, but do not fry oiled foods in oil. Okay? No carbonated beverage with a meal. No alkaline water with a meal, because then you're messing with the acid levels in your stomach. And no oils means no salad dressings, no mayonnaise. Speaking of which, I came across a recipe because, there are certain foods that we like to enjoy in the Bahamas, like potato salad, for instance. And I've been trying all these different things to see how I could get a good potato salad. And a lot of it wasn't working very well. And so I came across this recipe online, how to make oil-free mayonnaise, and using cashews, raw cashews. You soak the cashews overnight, and then the next day you put them in a food processor with some apple cider vinegar and maple syrup, the salt and pepper to taste, and you just put that in a food processor and let that process until it's smooth. Listen, I am now enjoying potato salad again, using my homemade mayonnaise without oil. Delicious. So there are things you can do, okay? No corn, no soy, because they are genetically modified and heavily sprayed with Roundup. If you eat red meat, it should never be overcooked. It should be rare or medium rare. And you should not be eating processed meats with nitrates and nitrites. Okay? So I think I covered all the 12 bad foods. No margarine, no Crisco. Use lard, use butter, or an air fryer. Okay? Understand that there is a direct connection between your gut health and your brain health. So at least you can start there. If you have someone who is going through this, you can start there. And you're going to learn as we go through the show, there's some other things that you can do as well. Practical things. I have clients who, parents dealing with this stuff, and simple changes. And right away they see a big difference. Oh, she's more alert. Oh, she's recognizing us now. Simple changes. But, the Bible says my people perish for a lack of knowledge. A part of the problem is we just don't have the knowledge. My goal today is to give you that knowledge, give you that information that you can use to bring some relief to your loved one. So again, the telephone numbers to call if you have a question, 326 0271. 326-0271. 326-0271 or 326-0272. 326-0272. 326-0272. And the number to contact us on WhatsApp, 824-9952. 824-9952. Again, if you know anybody who is going through this, whether they are the caretaker or the patient themselves, or if you yourself has been recently diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, know that there's something that you can do. All right. And we're going to talk about that during this show today. I want you to leave this show today with some hope. Okay. Because trust me, I know what it's like to receive that diagnosis. I may have said it on the show as well as I may not have, but my mother died from dementia, but we later learned, had vascular dementia, which is different from Alzheimer's, but it was still very hard to watch her go through that. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hello.
Hi.
You can hear me because you know.
I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, Michelle, I think one of the things too that's connected with Alzheimer's too is aluminum.
Is what?
Aluminum. You're cooking in an aluminum pot and unarmed deodorant with aluminum, and the first active ingredient is aluminum.
Right.
And you take a aluminum pot, then you go home if you have one, take a pot scrubber, put clear water and scrub it. The water will turn black.
Yeah.
Now you use a stainless steel pan or pot and you scrub it, the water can remain the same.
Stainless steel is definitely the best. Stainless steel is definitely the best.
Stainless steel or glass. I think that's one of the best things to use. And you could get the most expensive underarm deodorant sometimes when you look at it. The first ingredient is aluminum. All the Avons and it's aluminum. And you're pasting that underneath your arm over and over. I found a plant-based underarm deodorant, and it's solid. You just have to moist the top of it, and you use that. And I can wear straight for about 2-3 days, and hey, because when you paste that aluminum underneath your arm, or you can use baking soda to make underarm deodorant.
Yeah. The only thing with baking soda is it cakes up a lot. But I want you to consider this. It's just. I said the only thing with baking soda is it cakes up a lot. So
it cakes. But I don't know if you. Someone said they use the baking soda and the coconut oil. And the cold press unrefined coconut oil, and that's what they use for their deodorant.
Well, there are a lot of options out there. A lot of all natural options out there.
Yeah, and like I said, you watch this too. Yeah, after a period of time, you watch your aluminum pot or pan, it gets brittle. So what you think happens, especially if you fry in the food over a period of time, so when you think that is being absorbed in the food that you're cooking, the meat and everything.
For sure.
That's what is happening.
Yeah.
But anyhow, good show.
Thank you so much for calling. Definitely stainless steel is the way to go. I know it's more expensive, but it's better for you in the long run. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we are going to dive even deeper into this information as it relates to Alzheimer's disease and some of the things that you can do to reverse this thing. You can heal. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Youngevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blasted love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm Michelle Malcolm in your company. We're talking Alzheimer's disease today. We are talking about what you can do to reverse this condition or avoid getting it in the first place. Now, again, the telephone numbers to call are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, or 326-0272, 326-0272, 326-0272, or you can WhatsApp us at 824-9952, 824-9952. Now, we have all heard about type 1 diabetes. Yeah? And I'm sure you've heard about type 2 diabetes. But have you ever heard about type 3 diabetes? Doctors are now understanding, scientists are now understanding that there is a direct connection between blood sugar levels and Alzheimer's disease. Matter of fact, they are now calling Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes. Research shows that people with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes have a higher risk of getting Alzheimer's disease and other types of dementia later in life. And scientists think that there are a few ways that problems with blood sugar control lead to problems with your memory and thinking. Let's go to the next clip.
Even physicians now call Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes to highlight the relationship between what's called dysglycemia, or messed up blood sugar, and degenerative Alzheimer's disease degeneration. So working with the blood sugar system, that means zero tolerance, or as close to it, for anything that breaks down rapidly into sugar. Desserts and fruit juices and potatoes and white bread and any kind of processed cereals and breads and bagels and all the foods we love, potato chips, snack foods, all of these foods break down into sugar rapidly. Secondly, using nutrients to help support the body's ability to process sugar. So on the one hand, eliminating or reducing your intake of sugar. On the other hand, helping your body process sugar. Interestingly, the nutrients that help your body process sugar are also brain nutrients, which further highlights the relationship between the blood sugar system and the brain. So we find that zinc and niacin and thiamine and the B complex in general, and essential fatty acids, while they're also important for helping the body, helping stabilize blood sugar, helping the body process blood sugar, they also have brain health benefits on their own. So using nutrients that help support blood sugar, the sweeties from Youngevity, chromium and vanadium, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, anything with the B complex, the Ultimate Daily, Immortalium, anything de-stress, anything that has a lot of B complex in it is going to be very important for the brain. Think of these as your brain vitamins. Zinc is particularly important for the brain and for blood sugar. Vitamin E is also very important for the brain and for blood sugar. Alpha lipoic acid and magnesium are also very important for brain and for blood sugar. And then the aforementioned omega-3 and omega-6 fats.
So, surprise, there's a direct connection between your blood sugar levels and conditions like Alzheimer's disease. When your cells don't use insulin the way that they should, it affects the mechanisms of your brain. Your cells aren't able to get the fuel that they need, so your brain can't work properly. Your blood sugar goes up, and over time, this can cause harmful fatty deposits in your blood vessels, and too much insulin can throw off the balance of chemicals in your brain. And these effects on the brain are so strong that some scientists believe that Alzheimer's is related to insulin resistance, thus their terminology, type 3 diabetes. With diabetes, you're at a greater risk for a heart attack or stroke, and high blood sugar levels can trigger inflammation, none of which are good for your blood vessels. Damaged blood vessels in your brain could contribute to you coming down with Alzheimer's. Inflammation can also make your cells insulin resistant, especially if you're obese. So you hear me say it all the time that we need to spend more energy, more attention, more focus on getting our people, generally speaking, healthier across the board, because one thing affects the other. And we know that diabetes is a major problem in this country. Major problem. 40% of our population is battling with diabetes. 40%. This is a big problem. So, based on this research, that 40%, if that condition goes untreated, are at a higher risk for coming down with dementia or Alzheimer's disease later on in life. And in some cases, not so late as you would think. This is a problem. So we really, really need to focus on not just medicating people and managing their illness, but teaching people what they need to do to become healthier in general and helping them to be able to do it. Doing what we need to do as it relates to food security. So it's not impossible for a person to eat healthy because they just can't afford to, but you make in all of the poisons, like 52 called it bread, casket items, easy and cheap, keeping your people sick. What do we need to do to change that? That's another show. But this is something that we need to focus on, because we are setting ourselves up for a big problem down the road, even bigger than the one that we're facing now. Another problem when it comes to blood sugar and your brain is blocked nerve communication, because high blood sugar has been linked to higher levels of protein pieces in the brain. And when these clump together, they get stuck between the nerve cells in your brain, and they block signals. Nerve cells that can't talk to each other is the main trait of Alzheimer's disease. So your cells are constantly moving food and other supplies along pathways. I want you to imagine it's like a railroad track, right? And a protein called tau, I hope I pronounced that word right, helps these tracks that run into and out of and through the cells stay in straight rows. But in a brain with Alzheimer's disease, they get tangled up and the tracks fall apart. And cells die because they can't move stuff to where they need it. And some studies suggest that people with diabetes have more tangled tau in their brains than people without diabetes. So this could mean that they have more dying cells in their brains, which can lead to dementia, one of which is Alzheimer's. So it is obviously very important that we manage our blood sugar levels. A few studies lead some scientists to believe that keeping your A1C below 7% may help your brain stay well. Working out is a good idea because exercise helps to keep your cells, helps your cells to use insulin better and help you to manage your blood sugar and avoid too much insulin in your blood and brain. Physical activity brings oxygen, rich blood, which we're going to hear about in a moment, to your brain, and it lowers the risk of heart disease. And so these are some things that we need to take into consideration when we are talking about how to manage or not manage, but how to avoid conditions like Alzheimer's disease and reverse them if you do have them. You heard me talk about oxygenation, and that is also very, very important. So you would have heard me mention vascular dementia. The problem with vascular dementia is that the arteries are clogged, so there's insufficient oxygen getting to the brain. Well, that also is a factor when it comes to Alzheimer's disease. Let's go to the next clip.
There is a major relationship between low blood oxygen and dementia. There's a major relationship between low blood oxygen and all degenerative health crises. There's a major relationship between low blood oxygen and inflammation. So working on deep breathing techniques, sitting on the couch, and remember, we always say this, 15 seconds in through the nose, slowly, 15 seconds out through the nose, slowly, going into the bottom of your belly when you're doing your breathing, all the way to the bottom of your feet if you can, and then back up again. And you don't want to take any gap, you don't want to take any no spaces between your in-breath and your out-breath. So it's like a circular breathing kind of thing, sort of like a baby breathes. Babies don't take gaps between their breaths. You just go inhale and then exhale. Inhale and exhale slowly is very important. And then a well-rounded nutritional supplement program, the Healthy Start Pack, that goes without saying. Moving the body is extremely important. There's actually lymphatic, this is something that recently got discovered. There's actually lymphatic circulation in your brain. The lymphatic system drains toxins. The lymphatic system delivers nutrients, particularly fatty nutrients, and the brain is a fatty organ. So moving your body around is absolutely critical for all chronic degenerative diseases, but especially for brain diseases. Circulating the oxygen, circulating the lymphatic system in the brain, very important. So moving your body around, you don't have to do a lot. A brisk walk up and down the stairs, a rebounder for 30 seconds or 60 seconds, a mini trampoline, even an inversion machine or inversion device where you hang upside down, that can improve circulation to the brain.
Okay, so just to let you know that there is some truth to what he just described, especially as it relates to oxygen, because studies have been done. And hyperbaric oxygen therapy is now being considered as a means to bring some relief. This is a therapy that is established, and it's an established medical treatment that involves breathing pure oxygen into a pressurized environment. in a pressurized environment and could provide a new means, studies show, to slow the progression or even prevent the development of Alzheimer's disease. That is a conclusion of a study from researchers at Tel Aviv University and Shamir Medical Center. And they reported their findings in aging and said that hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBOT, can improve cerebral blood flow and cognitive function, and it was shown to do so in mouse models of Alzheimer's disease, as well as in elderly patients with significant memory loss. They also showed for the first time that HBOT can reduce the volume of plaque in the brain, which is one of the main hallmarks found in Alzheimer's disease, giving hope for similar improvements in Alzheimer's disease patients. Reduced cerebral blood flow and the resulting decrease in oxygen supply to the brain, which is known as hypoxia, is associated with the onset of dementia and correlates with the degree of cognitive impairment in Alzheimer's disease. So this research team hypothesized that developing a technique to target vascular dysfunctions, such as reduced vessel diameters, may offer a way to treat Alzheimer's disease, a disorder for which they say there is no effective intervention. So who knew? Deep breathing. And, you know, very few of us, I dare say, actually take the time to breathe at all. I mean, obviously you have to breathe, otherwise you die, but you know what I mean. We're just so busy being stressed out with life and you know, not taking the time to relax, breathe, smell the roses, take your time. How many of us can set aside some time where we actually slow ourselves enough to be able to do some deep breathing techniques? Maybe now you may think it's important enough to start doing that. Because, as you would have heard, oxygen and that blood flow is extremely important when it comes to brain health. And so this is something I want to encourage you all to do, to start to do some deep breathing exercises. It would be helpful if you're in an area that has clean air. Because again, this is found to be very, very beneficial for the brain. So Rose says, I don't wish that disease on my worst enemy. It's so sad to see your loved one there and they don't even recognize you. All you can do is cry. It's very difficult to go through that. I'm telling you, it's hard. It is not easy. Claudette says, sometimes we all think it's expensive to eat healthy, but it's more expensive to go to the doctor, and that's the reason I rather spend the money on my health instead of putting it in the doctor's pocket, because I've learned that disease can be reversed. I'm so glad you're back, Michelle. Thank you so much, Claudette. I say, you know, a lot of times when people say to me, oh, but Miss Malcolm, you know, it's so expensive to eat well. I say, well, either you could spend a little extra up front or you could spend it on the back end at the doctor's or in the hospital or on insulin or on dialysis or on, what do you call it? The treatment for cancer. Either you spend a little bit up front or you can spend it later on. You can spend it. I rather spend a little extra up front so that I don't have to spend my latter years. And then nowadays, you don't even have to wait to get old to be coming out with these things. That's the scary part. So it just makes sense to take care of yourself up front. Understand, people, that your body is not some isolated, you know, system that I operating over here and I minding my business and you operating over there and you minding your business. understand that it is all interconnected. And if you ignore the signs and symptoms in one area, you could best believe it's affecting other areas in your body as well. So the next thing you need to do is you need to stimulate your brain. A good strategy is to try to memorize new things, or do things like play, what do you call that thing? Not jigsaw puzzles. Well, jigsaw puzzles work too, but where you have to write in the letters of, like, puzzles, what's the word I'm looking for? They used to come in the papers back in the day where you fill out the words. Crossword puzzles. I know it's a puzzle. Learn a new language. Read more books. Do different things. Travel. Do different things to stimulate your brain. Because the more you stimulate your brain, the more neural connections you will make. And the better your blood supply to the brain will be. And the less likely will be your chances of getting Alzheimer's disease or any other kind of dementia. And the better your prognosis will be if you already have Alzheimer's disease. Because they're finding now just how important it is to keep your brain active. In this instance, it's true. If you don't use it, you lose it. So find ways to stimulate your brain to, stay alert, to stay active, to be engaged in what is going on around you. And it's not hard to do that. But don't just let your brain go to mush. Find a way. I don't like when people use age as an excuse as to why they can't. One of my pet peeves, when I come across a person, you ask them to do something simple, like find something on the internet. Oh, I'm not a technical person. Come on, man. We need to stop, the older people especially, we need to stop finding excuses for not challenging our brains. So don't be afraid to, Michelle, I don't know how to use that computer. Come on, man. Teach yourself. Don't just let your brain go to mush. Don't be afraid to try because you don't know how to do it. Learn how to do it. It ain't that hard. It ain't rocket science. But some people they just, child, I got to call my grandchild to do this to me. Come on, man. You got a brain, use it. And these young people love more than they try to make you feel stupid because you ain't know how to do these certain, because guess what? They born with these things. See? So that's natural for them, right? And ain't nothing they love more. Give this to me. Let me show you how to do this. I know one time I was driving with former Miss Royal Bahamas, Naya Bandelier. We were going somewhere to some event or something. And I was trying to get something done on my phone and I couldn't get it done. And so she said, give it to me, Ms. Malcolm. Just give it to me. Right? So she takes my phone and she started having a hard time trying to figure out what to do. So she said, I don't know why this isn't working. I can't get it done. So I took the phone. I hope Naya listened. I took the phone back from her and I actually was able to figure it out and got it done. And I looked at her and I said, So I could figure it out, but you couldn't. And she's like, whatever, Miss Malcolm, whatever. But you gotta use your brain, people. You can't use the excuse of, I'm not a technical person. I don't know how to do it. Teach yourself. Them same grandchildren who you calling to do that thing for you, instead of putting it in their hands, tell them to teach you how to do it. Write it down if you have to. If you think you ain't gonna remember, write it down and keep referring back to that until you can figure out how to do it yourself. But we need to stop giving up and stop giving ourselves excuses for not using our brains. Right? So, again, the young people, they born with this stuff. So, they figure out stuff real quick. But that doesn't mean that you can't attempt to figure this out on your own if you're an older person. I just want to encourage you out there to do more of that, to stimulate your brain. Okay? And I ain't saying you're ever going to be on their level, but you could be a little further than you are right now. I just want us to stop using that excuse of, oh, I don't know how to operate this. Or I a technical person. Man, come on, man. You ain't dumb. Figure it out. Stimulate your brain. That will actually help to keep your brain healthy. Okay? So all y'all out there, I want y'all to promise me if that's what you're doing now, to calling your grandchildren to do things for you. No. Instead of calling them to do it for you, call them and let them teach you how to do it. And don't go into it with a defeatist attitude like, oh, I know I ain't gonna be able to learn this. Come on, man. You ain't making this far in life being dumb. These are things you can teach yourself or let somebody teach you. I am always so encouraged when I see an older person making a decision to go back to school, go get a degree that they always wanted to get, go take a course, do something, use your brain, stimulate your brain. And that will help to keep it healthy. But if you decide to sit back and feel sorry for yourself and do nothing, you're looking for trouble. You're looking for it. So stimulate your brain, people. Read a book. Learn a new skill. Take up a course. Even if you just have to do it online or, if you can't go into classes or whatever. Information is at your fingertips nowadays. All you have coming at you is information. Stimulate your brain. Don't let your brain go to mush. Okay? That's my encouragement for you today. That we're not afraid to actually do something to keep your brain sharp. Now, I can take a break before I go to this next one, because this next one, plenty of y'all doing right now. And y'all don't understand how you setting yourself up for a problem later on. It's a big problem in this country too. So we're going to talk about it on the other side of the break. Call a friend. Let everybody know that we are on the air talking about Alzheimer's disease. The cause, the cure, the culpability. Who causing this? We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Follow us on all social media. Like us on Facebook at Global 99.5 FM.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a live pinch in tires.
And welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. And we are talking about Alzheimer's disease today. In case you or someone you know is going through this, I want you to go ahead and give them ring and let them know they need to tune in. The numbers to call 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, or 326-0272, 326-0272. And the WhatsApp number, I think I heard this WhatsApp going off. I really got to do better at paying attention to this WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is 824-9952. I did hear it going off. I apologize to y'all who are messaging me on WhatsApp. Let me see. Let me go to the WhatsApp messages now and read these before we move on. So this says, Ms. Malcolm, can you connect the dots between mold and Alzheimer's? So the thing with mold is mold will mess with your neurological system. It will. Been there, done that. It will. I don't know if it leads to Alzheimer's or if it's one of the. I'm going to look that up before the end of the show and come back to you with that. But I know that mold will disrupt your neurological system and cause you to have serious lapses in short-term memory. I've been there. I'm telling you, I've been there. And it will mold, if you are exposed to mold long-term, it will have you believing you're losing your mind. So it definitely will impact the brain. Whether or not it will lead to Alzheimer's long-term, I have to do more research on that. So I'm going to look that up. But in the meantime, there's something that you guys are doing out there, some of you, that your doctor told you to do because you have high cholesterol and because your doctor doesn't understand the role of cholesterol or why your cholesterol levels are high, they do what doctors do. They prescribe a drug. And in the case of high cholesterol, the drug that is prescribed is what is known as a statin drug. Statin drugs. And I know there's a lot of you out there right now who taken these statin drugs because your cholesterol and triglycerides are elevated, and the doctor told you that your bad cholesterol is high, and you got to take this drug to lower the cholesterol and all this kind of stuff. And so you're a good patient, and you taking that drug because that's what the doctor tell you to do. Now, here's the thing. You would have learned earlier in this show that there is a direct connection between blood sugar levels and Alzheimer's. Well, did you know that one of the key reasons for elevated cholesterol and triglycerides is a blood sugar imbalance? So if your blood sugar is out of whack, and I don't mean if you're diabetic, because a lot of people make the mistake of saying, well, I haven't been diagnosed with prediabetes, so I'm good, or I haven't been diagnosed with diabetes. You have to understand that when it comes to blood sugar, it's like a spectrum. And the medical profession has a particular, and I'm not saying these are the right numbers, but I just want to break it down for you to understand. Let's say the spectrum is from 1 to 10. And so the medical profession would say, okay, if you have 5, you're pre-diabetic. If you have 6, you're diabetic. So you may be at 4 thinking, oh, I good because I at 6. But that doesn't mean that it's balanced. Again, those aren't the right numbers. I'm just trying to make it very simple for you to understand. So just because you have not been diagnosed with diabetes or prediabetes does not mean that you do not have a blood sugar imbalance. Elevated cholesterol and triglycerides is a result of a blood sugar imbalance. Now we know that there is a connection between blood sugar levels and brain health. Well, guess what, y'all? When your doctor tells you to take that statin drug to lower the cholesterol in your body, that drug doesn't come with a, no pun intended, GPS system. So when you take this drug, it gets into your body and it goes to work doing its job, lowering cholesterol in the body, and it lowers it everywhere, including The brain. Let's go back to the beginning of the show. Remember, we talked about myelin. Myelin makes up 90% of your brain in weight. Myelin is responsible for protecting the electrical impulses of the brain that tells your body and your mind what to do. Myelin is 75% cholesterol. So what you think will happen when you take a statin drug to lower cholesterol in the body, and it also lowers it in the brain? It don't take a rocket science to figure out what's going to happen next. Let's go to the next clip, please.
Statin drugs suppress cholesterol. Cholesterol is the body's quintessential building substance. This is so important to recognize because we hear about LDL and HDL and all these different types of cholesterol. They're not cholesterol. HDL and LDL are carriers of cholesterol. They're like little bubbles. Cholesterol is a fatty substance and it doesn't move around through the fluids of the body as effectively, so the body will surround it with a lipoprotein. A lipoprotein is like a fat protein bubble. Lipofat, protein, and this fat protein bubble is a carrying case for cholesterol among other substances. So when they talk about HDL and LDL and the different particles, they're not talking about cholesterol, they're talking about carriers that contain cholesterol. Cholesterol itself is just cholesterol. There's not different types of cholesterol. There's not HDL cholesterol and LDL cholesterol, there's just cholesterol. Cholesterol is a molecule, just like there's just water, just like there's just air, just like there's just one type of chemical. Air is a complex, but there's just oxygen, just like there's just water, just like there's just certain chemicals in nature and molecules in the body. Cholesterol is cholesterol is cholesterol. And it is the body's quintessential building substance. That means for any growth or any repair or any kind of building processes, it's a vital molecule. Growth and repair and regeneration will suffer to the degree that you're not making cholesterol. And if you take a statin drug, you're actually poisoning your cholesterol manufacturing machinery. So the implications for the brain are tremendous. And this is why one of the problems, one of the classic side effects of statin drugs, statin drug usage, is forgetfulness, memory problems, thinking problems, because the brain depends on cholesterol. Now, as an aside, if you truly want to lower your cholesterol levels, the main reason, as we've probably talked about before, that cholesterol levels go up is because we've tricked the body into thinking it is supposed to be building. And the main way that we've tricked the body into thinking it's supposed to be building, even though we're not building, even though we're not in the gym, even though we're not repairing, even though we're not exercising, even though we're not anabolic, that means building. The main way that we trick the body into thinking it should be building without building is sugar. Sugar sends the body messages that it should be building, and when we're not building, cholesterol levels build up. Cholesterol levels get higher, so reducing your sugar is the most important strategy.
Y'all see a pattern here? Y'all figuring this out yet as it relates to blood sugar? Sugar tells your body it's building. So your body thinks because it's building, it needs more cholesterol, because cholesterol, as he just so well described, is what is key, it's a key building component. So when you have a blood sugar imbalance, not necessarily meaning you're diabetic, but if you have a blood sugar imbalance, you have a problem with cholesterol. But cholesterol is the building. Okay. I want y'all to picture this. Let's say that there is a fire in a building, a fire broke out in a building, and you call the fire department to put out this fire, right? The fire department, the fire truck shows up, and it's got 15 firefighters on this truck, all trying to put out this blaze. And so then an MD comes by. Well, okay, let me not pick on the MDs. Somebody comes by, and they see all of these firefighters at the scene of this fire, and they say, all of these fellas dressed in this red uniform, they must have caused this fire. It's so much of them here. So you put the blame of the fire on the firefighter when the firefighter is only there trying to put the fire out. This is the role of cholesterol. If cholesterol rushes to a site, it rushes to that site because there's been damage and it is trying to rebuild the degeneration that has happened. Okay? So when we blame cholesterol as the problem, no, the problem is it's trying to fix something that is damaged or degenerating, or as he just described, we're tricking our body into believing that it's building by consuming too much sugar, by having a blood sugar imbalance. Now, do you see the big picture here? Now, do you understand the connection here? Now, do you get it? It's all interconnected, people. So you really need to pay attention to your blood sugar levels so that you don't end up with high cholesterol in the first place, so that your MD doesn't have to put you on, in their opinion, a statin drug, which is going to lower the cholesterol, including the cholesterol in myelin, which is going to lead you to not be able to recognize your children. So Claudette says, you know, these doctors and their pharmaceutical meds are causing more harm than good. I'm not saying that I won't go to the doctor to get checkout, but after my diagnosis, I'm going to find myself the stuff that can help me, but not doctor's meds. I'm sorry. Again, doctors play a very important role in medicine and health. I keep saying it. If you have been dealt some kind of traumatic experience, you had some car accident or bad cut or whatever, you better find your hip to the doctor, right? They play a very important role. If you have a handful of infectious diseases, you better go to the doctor. You in need of surgery, you better find your hip to the doctor. But when it comes to non-communicable long-term disease, we have taken the wrong dog to the hunt. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm.
Hey, 52.
Yeah, great show. You know, I really enjoying this, and I'm glad that you're getting this out there because we, from U.S. and Guardian, we was linking high fructose corn syrup, right, with cognitive dysfunction in humanized mice in the study, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so remember, I would always say that, you know, the thing is the circulation of the high levels, this is all, and I'm glad you played the clip from the doctor, you know, because I'm not a doctor, but, you know, I'm well read on these things. And so the fact that the sugar is circulating in the blood, remember they said now, this breaches the blood-brain barrier, goes into the myeloid, the amyloid tissues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it turns around, it affects the microglia or the microbial cells that clean up the dead cells after apoptosis or cell death. So what they found out, I saw this under the microscope, so I don't need no one to agree or disagree, but they know this is a fact. The microbial cells, what happens is they dysfunction because of the presence of the sugar. And they actually eat healthy brain cells, destroying all of the synapses and dendrite cells or dendritic cells that actually carries the electrical communication between the cells. So this is and this is the reason why this causes the problems with the nervous system, and also the fact that the gentleman who called about aluminium, right? You must continue reading. Now the study shows that even though they find aluminum, right, in the amyloid plaque, there's no evidence to suggest that this really causes Alzheimer's. So what you're saying is there's more evidence of sugar. Not only sugar, also the toxic proteins, all right, even from the fat carrying particles transporting the fat particles also carry toxic protein, and all these help contribute to Alzheimer's. You see what I'm saying? And so remember now, Ms. Malcolm, the body has a funny way of converting everything back into sugar. You know, it's something that I didn't always bear in mind or didn't remember. This was bear in mind. When one's consume too much protein, Ms. Malcolm, you know, like some people are not active, but they eat too much animal protein, right? That protein is then converted to sugar by a process called glucogenesis. So it's a lot of things that you have to keep reading. See, the rabbit hole is much deeper than we think. You see what I'm saying? But to me, you're doing better work than the politician now, because a lot of people really, really should pay close attention to what you're saying. You know, if they really, really interested in this healing these degenerative diseases, because they was linking Alzheimer's and finding all kind of other reasons for Alzheimer's, but this is what the new studies are showing, exactly what your clip was saying and exactly what you're saying. And so they found that less than 1% of Alzheimer's is caused by specific degenerative diseases. So it's basically these same inputs and this toxic effect, also environmental. I hear you mentioned Roundup and all these things, other environmental factors too. You see what I'm saying, Ms. Malcolm?
Right.
So bless up still, just keep it up.
Thank you so
That's
much.
all right.
Thank you for calling 52. I really do appreciate your support. Thank you so much. That young man has a lot of vital information. Okay, so there's one thing I want you to understand, that good fats are extremely important for brain health. Good fats, because the brain is a fatty organ. So omega-3 fats are especially important for brain health as well as vision health. Omega-3 fats are typically found in the nervous system, and omega-6 is good for the rest of the body. So whenever you have somebody who is battling with Alzheimer's disease, you need to get them on some healthy fats, right? Omega-3s are good. Actually, Doc Wallach describes, he says that there are 4 categories of disease. And when it comes to Alzheimer's and dementia, he has that in the category we call the soft tissue category, which is a big part of it is a deficiency of healthy fats and cholesterol. You can have a cholesterol deficiency and it will impact your brain. So you want to feed anybody who is battling this with a lot of healthy fats. One of the perfect sources of a healthy fat is an egg, organic eggs. Perfect food. We help to contribute to this problem by telling people, oh, you should only eat the white of an egg. Remember that whole phase we went through of, oh, throw away the yolk, only eat the egg white? Or the phase of completely cutting fat out of your diet. If you completely cut fat out of your diet, you will die. Your body needs healthy fat. And your brain especially needs healthy fat. Now, in this last clip I'm going to play, Dr. Joel Wallach is going to talk about a case that he had of a gentleman who had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Now, remember now, I said at the beginning of the show, there are 4 different types of dementia. And the doctors in this gentleman's case had diagnosed him with Alzheimer's, but Dr. Wallach believed later on that he really had Korsakoff syndrome. Remember, we talked about the 4 different types of dementia. But he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And over the years, years, just kept getting worse and worse and worse until the doctors pretty much said to his sister, there's nothing more we can do for you. Nothing more we can do for your brother. And it was at that point that she decided to call Doc Wallach. Is that a caller for the show? No, I'd rather go to the caller first. Caller, welcome to GPS. Caller, you there? Hello, caller. Going once?
If you'd like to make a call.
Okay, they hung up. Okay, so let's go to this final clip where he talks about how the sister of this gentleman finally called him after he had been suffering all of these years. And let's hear what happened.
And I can tell you, if I may, a kind of a 3-minute story about a guy who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and the doctors put him on the medication for Alzheimer's disease. 3 years later, he goes into a coma. He was in a deepening coma for 8 years until there was not much left of his brain. And the doctors in the nursing home told the sister, look, there's your brother Ray McGregor is the guy's name. There's not much we can do for him now. Do you really want to keep him going here with IVs and G tubes, or should we just pull the plug and it'll be the end? She said, well, give me 6 months. So she calls me, tells me the situation, and I said, well, we can give it a try here. If we do what they say, your brother Ray will die in a couple of days. But if you do what I say, he's got a high probability of doing well. So, well, let's do what you say. It's okay. So, healthy brain and heart pack, 6 eggs twice a day for 100 pounds of body weight, and divide the dose of all the supplement program and the eggs and everything into 4 quarter doses. Give it to him through the G tube, and call me every 2 weeks. Well, on the 5th day, she calls me. She's crying. She says, she couldn't compose herself. I said, well, tell me about your brother Ray. Why are you crying? Is he okay? And she says, well, I went into his room this morning and he wasn't in his room. I was going to give him to start his fifth day in a program. He's not in his room anymore. His suitcases, his clothes are gone. All his personal toiletries are gone. There's somebody else in his bed with a different chart, different person. So I go to the front desk and I say, where's my brother Ray? And the girl's front desk says, Ray? She says, yeah, Ray McGregor, my brother. She's, oh, that Ray. Well, he got up this morning. He didn't realize he'd been in a coma for 8 years. He thought he'd only been asleep one day. He shaved, got dressed in a three-piece suit, went back to work at the bank. If you want to find him, he's at the bank right now working. A true story.
Doc Wallach is so funny. I personally have had clients whose parents are battling this, and I tell them, okay, while we wait for your supplements to arrive, there's one thing you can do now. Start, giving them more eggs, like 6 eggs a day or 8 eggs a day. What, Miss Malcolm? I said, I'm telling you, it's going to help. Let's get some healthy fats in them. And a week later, I call back and I say, while we're waiting, how your parents, how your mother doing? Miss Malcolm, oh my God, I'm starting to see a difference. She coming back. She's starting to recognize us again. Yeah, because you're starving her brain. Her brain was starving of healthy fats. So understand, Terry says, I thank you for mentioning the significance of healthy fats. Let's remember also that good cholesterol is under the skin and needed to produce vitamin 3 using sunlight. Understand that your brain is a fatty organ that needs healthy fats. So if you are taking statin drugs because your cholesterol level's high, which we now know is because you have a blood sugar imbalance, but your doctor didn't tell you that, right? So you taking statin drugs, and then you were caught up in the fad talking about only eating egg white, and you trying to eat fat-free. I hate to be a prophet of doom, but you setting yourself up for some serious challenges down the road. So you gotta eat healthy fats, people. Essential fats, omega-3, 6, and even 9 are very, very good for the brain. Make sure that you're getting sufficient healthy fats in your diet. Okay? Claudette says, you're so right. They do play important roles in broken bones and stuff, but not the disease. Okay, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Claudette. Understand, people, that there is something that you can do. Now, let me just say this. I'm not sitting here trying to make it sound like this is a quick fix. Because if you have been doing all the things that have led to this condition for 60 years, it's going to take more than popping a pill for a month to get you fixed. Some things are easy to fix. High blood pressure, 2 weeks, that's done, fixed. Blood sugar imbalances, easy fix. But something like when it comes to degeneration of the brain, that's going to take some time to fix, but it can work. It can, your brain can work. You heard the woman, myelin can be regenerated. Don't think for 1 second that there's nothing that you can do. Now, you may have to go at it hard. You may have to have the patience to do this for a good 6 to 9 months. Right? Normally we say, give us 90 days on 90 nutrients and we'll change 90, we'll improve 90% of your life. But some things take longer. Just understand that. If you've been doing the damage for 60 years, in this case, it's going to take more than a couple of weeks to get it fixed. But know this, your body can heal. I cannot say this enough. Your body is a healing machine designed by the ultimate physician to heal itself. Your body knows what to do to heal. It's trying to heal. It wants to heal. But we just have to give it what it needs to do its job and then get the hell out of the way. Don't you for 1 second believe that your only hope is some kind of pharmaceutical drug that is only going to manage your illness till you get to the point where they say there's nothing more we could do for you. Doesn't that sound like Alzheimer's? It does not have to be this way. And I want to encourage you. If you would like to learn more about what you can do for your loved one, this show gave you a lot of information today. Some practical things that you can do, but know that they will need nutrition. We all need nutrition to stop the degeneration of our bodies. And remember what pharmacist Ben Fuchs said early on in the show. This is just degeneration of the brain, but it's still degeneration. And there is something you can do to fix that. Okay? Give your body what it needs to function, and your body will kick back into action. Some things take longer than others. And depending on how far gone a person is, it may take a while, but you will start to see improvement. I'm telling you, I've seen it. Even before we get the supplementation started, just by increasing the intake of eggs. I say, you does your mother like smoothies? Yeah, throw in a couple eggs in a smoothie. And she will start to come back to herself. Even just that. So I want to encourage you today, because I know that when you've been given a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia, that's a scary thing. I remember the feeling that I got when, my mother got sick. That was scary. It was really scary. And I can tell you from personal experience that there's nothing more difficult than watching your loved one deteriorate slowly before your eyes. And that feeling of hopelessness is nothing you can do. Well, good news is now you know there is something you can do. I only wish that I knew then what I know now. But such is life. If you'd like more information about what you heard on the show today, WhatsApp us at 824-9952. Just put Alzheimer's in the message and they'll get the message to me. Again, the number 824-9952 is the WhatsApp number, or you can also WhatsApp 805-6430, 805-6430, and just put Alzheimer's in the message, and we will know what it is that you're reaching out about, and we will reach out to you. Know that you can heal. Your body can heal, people. Don't believe the prognosis. Don't believe that. They only know what they know. And unfortunately, when it comes to Alzheimer's, that ain't much. Let me stop. Oh, Lord. Doctors, I love y'all. Y'all play a very important role. I want y'all thinking in any way I am trying to disparage what you do, because God bless y'all. Play a very, very important role in health. But if you're going on a hunt, then taking a poodle with you ain't gonna be much good for you catching what you're trying to catch. You need that plain old looking hound dog, because the hound dog know how to sniff out what you're trying to catch. So maybe, just maybe, we need to look at taking another dog to the hunt when it comes to chronic disease. Give it a try. What do you got to lose? That's it for today's show. My producer done stopped playing music, so I got to get out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you got something out of this today. It's going to be on our Facebook page, so check it out there. If you didn't get to see the whole show, or tell somebody who may have missed it where they can go to get the information. And again, the numbers to WhatsApp us 824-9952, 824-9952, or 805-6430. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I'm out of here, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
This is 99.5 Global FM, your number one source for R&B in the Bahamas. Yeah.